I have no idea how much I invested in Halloween this year, so let's add it up, starting with this Camp Crystal Lake sign I built this year. New for the display, I spent some money on boards and paint and countless hours of my time, but it cost me about 45 bucks. I also saved a lot of money since I couldn't find an animatronic Jason. I put this blinking projection effect from Walmart. It was $25. Not shown here in the video, I also had a cardboard Jason in the back window. Ran me $32 from Amazon. And then I also had a window cling that you can't see there in the darkness. That was about $3 too. Lighting really makes the display in my opinion, so we spent a little bit of money buying some solar lights from Amazon for $42. It really made it very easy to put the lighting where we wanted it in the display. I also needed to buy a couple of waterproof black lights to light up my Camp Crystal Lake sign, which glows in the dark. So does this groundbreaker. This is Embers from Party City. He came out this year. He was $198, but I think he's an excellent addition to my pumpkin army. As you can see, I love my pumpkin decor, and all of this stuff is just stuff from previous years that I brought back and reused. I hardly ever throw things away. I don't like to use things in the same way 2 years in a row, but we'll mix it and match it and make it a new and fresh display every year. And this year I had to have a new fun pumpkin inflatable, $61 from Amazon. I love him, much like this Grim Reaper from Home Depot. I think he was my second most expensive prop this year at $318. I hope he lasts because I'm getting disappointed with my animatronics that want to break down all the time. Tom convinced me to buy extension cords this year that have outlets spaced out every 6 or so feet. We got about 140 feet for $83, very worth it. After over a decade, I finally gave my Flying Crank Ghost new cheesecloth, which I got from Walmart this year. I still feel a little burned because the packaging wasn't in the right place and I thought it was going to be like $6 and it turned out to be $11. If you look in the edges of the display, you see my plastic sheet ghosts. I also gave them a facelift this year with new tablecloths from the dollar store. I spent about $16 on that. And I did some shopping on Facebook Marketplace where I saw this 12-foot ghost that they had at Home Depot a few years ago that I wanted when I saw it, but I just couldn't work it in my display. I did this year. He cost me $150, which I thought was a pretty good bargain, but when I got him, you can see one of his arms doesn't light up, which is unfortunate, and that's the risk you take when you buy things on Facebook Marketplace. You can't necessarily return them very easily. And speaking of returns, I am not including in this walkthrough the items that I purchased that I didn't return but I didn't use. There were a number of those, unfortunately. And some things that I bought that I will put in the display next year. Here on the driveway, I wanted to do dragons this year, but I changed my mind because I couldn't find enough dragon stuff that I wanted to incorporate. But I did spend $71 on an inflatable. Again, we're not going to consider that as part of these costs. I also spent a lot of money on the party supplies, food costs and whatnot, again not accounted for here. Also, a lot of these costs I'm listing are pretty close to actual costs. I did have to estimate a few because I lost some receipts or couldn't remember. I do, however, remember going to many Home Depots to find some clearance tombstones this year, including that angel off on the side, this whispering angel, and the Reaper with the hourglass there. At least I think that's a Reaper. In any case, I got them 50% off like a week before Halloween. Spent $64 on it. I think it's a bargain because I am over the styrofoam tombstones. I have a mountain of them in my storage, but these heavy-duty tombstones just look so much nicer. And if I add a couple here and there, year after year, I'll have a nice graveyard eventually without breaking the bank too bad. I didn't get a chance to make a video this year about the creation of my centerpieces, but I'm pretty proud of them this year. Here on the outside, we had treasure chests from Amazon on some silver platters from the Dollar Tree. I sprinkled around some gold coins and jewels that I got from Amazon as well, and then used other little pirate bits and bobs that I've had from years past, and I think the entire cost for those, for all 6, not including the treats that I put inside the treasure chests, was about $82 for 6 of them. That comes out to be about $14 each, which I think in my opinion isn't too bad. We did also spend a little bit of money on supplies and tools. For instance, some epoxy that we used to fix this captain's wheel that had broken apart, and I may have missed a few other minor expenses. Here we have a skeleton pirate fountain. He's sitting in a whiskey barrel. I've had him in the display a few years in the past, and this year I could not find that whiskey barrel anywhere. I'm at a loss. I've looked through the entire house twice. Can't find it. I ended up having to go buy a new one from Home Depot. It just irks me because how do you lose something like that? Now, I am always looking for a way to block off my garage doors, and I needed something that was quick and easy to install, and this year I found some tentacle shower curtains that not only went excellent with my theme, but was so easy to install on some string on the inside of the garage door. I was able to put this up in advance, and I could take it down and put my cars in so easy. Inside the garage here, we have my Kraken from Lowe's. I absolutely adore him. He was $211, a little pricey, not as pricey as the Deep Sea Diver at $370. He was definitely the most expensive thing I bought this year. Thankfully, I did it early in the season, and it didn't hurt so bad. I bought the skeleton fish hanging from the ceiling late in the season. They were a little pricey at $29. For $15, I got this shipwreck backdrop off, I think it was Amazon. I actually bought several versions of this, ended up with this one. Again, I'm not counting the ones I didn't use. Here you can see lighting effects all around the room. I spent about $53 on that. There were some swirling light effects. I also spent $35 on a disco ball and spinner that projected what looked like bubbles on the ceiling. I thought all these together really helped sell the scene and was well worth it. I also bought tablecloths that looked like water to use on the tables, again, helping to sell that scene. They worked especially well here on the buffet, above which is another backdrop. This one glows in the dark. I bought it from overseas. The cost of it was about $27. It was a little bit more than that when you calculate the shipping. It was a little hard to break down shipping, so I kept that in bulk as part of the other items I bought with the group, which is part of the inside display costs, which we're going to take a look at next. Starting at the front door, I bought an entrance sign for $11 and a spiderweb doormat. That was about $14, but it really sets the scene in terms of what you're going to see inside. It's a witch display. I bought that little wreath on the stairway there from Spirit. It was a little pricey at $37, but again, it helps introduce the entire witch theme. Now, if the lighting looks a little strange in here, that's because I spent $37 from Home Depot on black light bulbs to add to my growing collection. I changed out as many bulbs as I could to really give the room a glow, which lights up these frames. So this witch art, including these frames that I built, cost about $65 in material as well. And I did get 3 frames out of that. We'll see those as we take a look here around the living room. The first thing we're really going to notice, though, is my marionette witch. She's from Home Depot. She was bargain animatronic this year at $105. She actually is the main character in my storyline this year. If you want to hear all about that, be sure to check out my walkthrough video this year where I explain the storyline behind all of these characters and what's happening. I do try and incorporate as much free things as I can. In my display, for instance, the witch here is watching a cauldron show on TV. That was actually a part of a series of haunted screens, I think on Hulu, which I get anyway, so I just used that, popped it on the screen. Here's the second of the 3 witch frames I built. All in all, they came out to be about $21 each when you average it out. I also bought a couple of books for the display here from the Dollar Tree. It was only about $2 in all. I have so many of those fake books. I love putting them everywhere. It really helps build out your display. It's easy decor. I can't recommend them enough, especially if you're going to find one that says Happy Haunting on it, with a witch on the cover, no less. This was the absolute perfect book for my display this year, well worth the $14 I spent at Home Goods. I was very pleasantly surprised with this lace table runner I put on my hearth from the Dollar Tree, no less. I also did some shopping at the Goodwill, where I found all of those small black spiders. I think I got about 13 of them in all. And I think they were only like $1 each. I could not believe it. This fireplace witch actually cost me $45 with the frame. Separately, I bought her overseas. I also got this flying witch animated figure from CVS this year. She ended up being $138 with tax, which I think is a bit pricey. I think in the past when I have bought CVS animatronics, and I have bought a few of them, I used like 20% off coupons I found online, but not this year. She was a very impulsive purchase, but she just worked so well with my witch theme that it was worth it to me. Before I decided on witches and spiders, I wanted to do witches and ravens, so I bought a few things from the at-home store. That stacked skull with crow was about $32. And then we also got a couple of different crows here. That spent about $58, but I really love that large oversized crow. And then I think it was from Ross that I bought the spider pillow and blanket, about $30, but I really love those throw blankets. They're just so soft and plush, really great to cuddle with. The third witch portrait, I really love how creepy these ladies are, especially again with that black light shining on my frames I built that glow. It was a really nice display in my opinion. Brought back a lot of things from years past. I got my short little butler there. He had a little sign. I believe it read, "If you're reading this, then you're blissfully unaware of what is creeping up behind you. Simple printables in frames is so easy and you can change it out every year." I bought these frames with some diamond art that I crafted this year. I spent about $60 with the frames and some paint and the art kits themselves, but it kept me busy for weeks and weeks putting those diamond paintings together, and it became my new favorite hobby. I love doing those. I bought a couple here for Christmas. Can you believe it? But at least I will be able to pop them in those frames and reuse them. And again, next year when I make new art for the stairs, I will just change it out again. As we make our way back down to the hall, you'll see here's some more art that I changed out this year. I've had those frames for many years up there. Every year something different goes in it. These are just more free printables that I found online. This year, they happen to be like witch spells. I think they work in frames. They don't have to be pictures of people every single year. A lot of the stuff in our bathroom here has been reused from years past, including our fortune teller witch here. I only bought a couple of new items, including these mystic-themed hand towels, since it went very well with the witch theme this year. They're in the frame, another free printable that warns you about the man in the mirror, which is this mirror cling I bought for $1, I think, from Walmart. As we make our way over to the basement stairs, you're going to see on the stairs some banners of some witches. There were originally 3 of them that I bought from overseas because I loved the way they looked online. I was going to build my whole living room display around them, but they ended up being much smaller and darker than I anticipated. You can hardly see any detail in them, but I made it work here on the stairs next to the silhouette of a cat, so they're all sort of shrouded in darkness. My cauldron in the kitchen glows, though. It was $64 from Target. I really wanted to get the $100 Home Depot one, but after seeing so many complaints online, I couldn't pull the trigger, so I'm really happy with the one that I ended up with from Target. It was cheaper and, in my opinion, more fun in that it glows. I tried to make my whole witch table a little bit more fun with all of their different cauldrons. I managed to get one that has that misting effect. It came from Walmart. It was $26, but it is perfect. I love the way that little bit of mist spills over the edge. It made my drinks table a little extra creepy. For about $11 from Old Time Pottery, I got this skeleton hand holding a poison apple. It actually glowed, but mine was a little bit defective, unfortunately. And all sales were final. Another caveat when you're shopping clearance stuff, be very careful. But I really liked the way it looked popping out of my bowl of apples there. All of that sitting underneath the cat artwork. Those are on frame TVs. Again, it's free artwork that I found online, and I really love the way it coordinated with my witches. I bought a lace tablecloth and runner from Spirit, which you'll see one here underneath that planter I wanted to have on my table, but it ended up being kind of small. The runner you see there on the countertop, it's got a nice sort of iridescent purple effect, and I thought it was pretty beautiful. I spent about $65 on batteries this year. Now those candelabras there, each with 5 candles that take 2 batteries each, just drain batteries. It's insane. I had them going for my walkthrough video, this one that we're watching right now, and then by Halloween, which was just, a week later, a couple of weeks later, they were already dead. I didn't even use them but for like an hour, but whatever sort of signal they send out to be able to work without remote control just drains them completely. And I had to go and buy new batteries to refill them, and it just irks me to no end. I should have learned my lesson the last time I used them, and the same thing happened out in the garage. I thought maybe it was because it was cold out there, or the weather or something. No, they just drain batteries like crazy. We do still have a couple more expenses to show you, but before we get to that, I did want to say a special thank you to all the patrons who help support the channel. If you're interested in joining our Fright Club, be sure to check out a link to my Patreon page in the description below. Now we're coming upon the back stairs where we are leaving the witch theme, going into ghosts. I had a few expenses there, including some ghost artwork. Again, here in frames I already had, I just put in some new pictures I got from Amazon. I got a set of 6, I believe, for 20 bucks, selected the ones I liked, and I really do like them. I might end up putting them elsewhere. I got this large ghost artwork, again from overseas. I saw an ad for it on Facebook, and that's actually what led me to buy those other pieces that I didn't quite think turned out as nice as they should. Even that one was a bit darker than I was anticipating. But that's buyer beware, I guess. And that brings us to our final total spend for 2024 of $3,029-ish. And that really makes me wonder how much I've spent throughout the years on all of this Halloween decorating. I hope it's worth it. Do you think so? Let me know in the comments below. I want to thank you all for watching. Till next time, take care everyone, and happy haunting.